Hello everyone, and welcome to my reaction to Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 10. It's called The Cursed Head, and I'm watching it on Crunchyroll, so hopefully there is no buffering. Crunchyroll has been doing a lot better for me recently with very rare buffering days. As some of you may know, I have had Crunchyroll for like 2 years, and for more than half of it, I could never watch or record my reactions with Crunchyroll because it would just be like incessant buffering. But these days it has been working well, so maybe they fixed something, I'm not sure. So thank you to everyone who commented on my last video and shared their thoughts. I really appreciate it. Actually, what was really cool, I think it was in the last video or the one before that, I was actually reading some comments on the Crunchyroll video and that, sharing some thoughts on what they were saying, because I'm used to watching live very often, and then I have people to talk to about my thoughts, so sometimes it's just interesting if I've shared my thoughts, or maybe like right off the bat after the episode I go through the comments, and someone who commented on, whose comment I read actually was watching my reaction too, and said, hey, that was my comment. So that's pretty cool. I don't think that's ever happened before. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to today's episode because the show has really, like, it was already great in the first season, and then there was like a long wait for the next one. So maybe I just forgot, but then this season showed why the first season was necessary. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it built such a strong foundation for itself, and now it's capitalizing on it. Okay, anyway. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you. I have a lot to do this week, but I'm going to take it one step at a time. So everything will get done eventually. Let's go. Nature. He's looking a lot better. Healthier. Damn. Healthier indeed. And that's not from going to the gym and randomly picking up weights. That's from real work. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to the gym, but that's like, that was the exercise back then, right? Work. They don't need the horse now? Or... oh no, that's for pulling out the roots. Wow. Oh, he's so happy. Oh, my heart. Sorry, I think my nightlight just went on. I should just turn that off because I'm always recording still. 3 years, okay.
この開墾地の次の収穫分で俺たちの自由が開墾
わあ。
そうか。どうかな。国に帰っても家族はもういねえし。アルネイズさんのことか。気が引けるよ。アルネイズさんも自由になれるんだったらな。そしたらもっと晴れ晴れした気持ちに。お前はトロフィー、やっぱりアイスランドに帰るのか。
I'm quite curious about the precautions they may have taken back then to prevent pregnancy, because I'm sure that he wouldn't want to get the slave pregnant. It's not that it's unheard of that it happened. You call them bastards or something. There's a whole book series about something like that, but I don't want to spoil you, so I won't mention it right now. But I'm thinking... back then, the food and the air and everything was different. So, but even now you could still do it, but it was a lot easier back then. The hormones and stuff were very predictable because of cleaner food. I think I'm just theorizing here, spitballing, but even today you can track your period, and if you're eating healthy and you're not really stressed out, and you can more or less pinpoint your most fertile days, and there's like periods in the months where you absolutely cannot get pregnant. Like I said, if your it's consistent, right? So if you're stressed out and stuff, something could happen. So it's obviously not 100%, like even condoms are not 100%, but you get what I'm saying. So I'm assuming back then they kind of did the same thing. I've heard other theories even about, I think in Egypt, where I read a woman used to use the moon to predict their body cycles, because women have like a 28-day cycle, men have a 24-hour cycle. And it made sense to me. It sounded like, ooh, the moon. But actually, the moon influences the ocean, and our bodies are like, how many % water? And I don't know. So that was just an interesting thing that I read, but I know nothing about it. So I'm just curious if anyone has historical knowledge on this topic. What kind of methods did women in these times use to prevent unwanted pregnancy?
なんだおい、ぼんやりしてんな。お互い様だろ。いざ自由が目前に迫ってくると、このざまだ。
Freedom. An interesting topic.
やってみたいことはある。まだいろいろはっきりとしてなくてな。お前はどう思う？エイナル、世の中から戦争と奴隷をなくすことはできないもんかな。
そうだな。夢のようだな。おお、ついに最後の一本をやっつけたな。この土地は種まきまでに整地できそうか？はい、急げば多分。そうか。よし、では少し負けてやろう。種まきが済み次第、お前たち二人は自由の身だ。よく頑張ったな、トルフィン、エイナル。
That's really... It's weird to say, oh, this slave master is so kind. Like, he has slaves. How can you say that? But how can you not say that? Isn't that interesting? But he's a slave master, so... But in a world with all these slave masters, isn't he, at the very least, a kind slave master? How crazy is that? That the story made me say that, like, or think that. It's crazy. And through this whole experience, it actually helped Thorfinn. But if the world didn't have war and slaves and whatnot, he wouldn't need that help to begin with. But that's the problem. Not necessarily him as an individual, but I think there's that whole thing about how, I've said it before, strong men make good times make weak men make... Huh? Good times make weak men make bad times make strong men. So oftentimes when someone has known struggle and strife, they have a strong desire as a result of that experience to make their lives better, the lives of others better, the world better. So he's become that strong man that make the world a better place. We already just saw it through his desire. Now he just needs to take action. And when many strong men take action and make good times where people don't have to suffer, where there's a time of peace. But then if there's too long, 1, 2, 3 generations of peace, people forget what it's like to suffer, and then their morals start slacking, and and they start making bad times. It's also, and then the cycle repeats itself. It's also like, I don't know what that is exactly called, but it's like, it's a simile or an analogy of something about the first dad is the worker, then there's the prince, then there's the pauper or something, where parents who suffered and grew up in poverty, they work hard and then they want their children to have a better life. So then the first son his dad is close to him, and even though he grows up with more than his dad had, he learns straight from his dad about what it means to work hard and da da da. But then oftentimes the third son spoils it all because now he's learning from his dad, or he's growing up with even more, and then it's not like he doesn't get the same lessons that the grandfather taught him, and it's like, and he becomes softer on him. I don't know how it works, but I don't know. There's a thing, the prince and the pauper or something. And it kind of links all these things, and that's why history is so important, where we should learn from it. But it's not easy to tell any young child to learn and to be thankful and about hard work. It's difficult to teach these things. Sometimes life has to beat it into you, but I'm not talking about a literal way. I'm just saying, so there are some things that we can only learn for ourselves, and that it doesn't seem too bad when it's on an individual level, but when society as a whole becomes that pauper son, the third generation, it can bring a lot of suffering, unnecessary suffering. It's just shocking. Ah! Uh-oh, he's gonna die. These shows where you know happiness doesn't last too long. That's just twing flag. Please come back alive. What benefits is there for the worker from that in which he labors? I have seen the task which God has given the sons of mankind with which to occupy themselves. He has made everything appropriate in its time. He has also set eternity in their heart without the possibility that mankind will find out the work which God has done from the beginning even to the end. He has set eternity into their heart without the possibility that mankind will find out the work which God has done from the beginning even to the end. So we won't know what God has done. I don't know. I would like to hear interpretations, if you will. Yering. After 3 years, what does his face look like? Well, hello. Yelling. Why do I feel like something's gonna happen in yelling? Why would there be a feud? Like, maybe if one or two, like, I can understand if a few people would think no him. But isn't there a more general understanding that the older brother, like, was there? Maybe I'll find out.
優しいお方だった。兄を陛下にはよく助けていただいた。
Maybe it was revealed in an earlier episode why there was controversy about his brother ruling, but I don't remember.
ほらわっぱども、よそで遊べ。
ごめんなさい。
どうもせぬ。
兄ハラルドはデンマークを、弟のクヌートはイングランド、クヌートのイングランド征服に際し、兄ハラルドは大艦隊を貸与するなど、クヌートのイングランド王即位後間もなく、ハラルドは病に倒れる。
クヌート兄様、ああ、本当にイヤリングにいらしてたのね。
ご無沙汰しておりました。ハラルド王。
ハラルド兄様、クヌート兄様がお見舞いに来てくださったのよ。
よい、無理にお越しするな。お話は陛下のお加減の良い時を選ぼう。ハラルド王、クヌートはこれにゆるりとお休みくださいませ。王国のことは何も心配はございません。
そなたにデンマークを。
滅相なことを申されますな。
I'm trying to read into the emotion, like just.
早くお元気になってまた玉打ち遊びにでも興じましょうぞ。
愛したものだがクヌート、よくもそ知らぬ顔でそんな嘘を。
兄様、
自身が毒を持った相手を見舞うな。
I don't remember. I should have rewatched season 1. It was too long ago. Oh my god. Is the manga on Shonen Jump? I think I should read it from chapter 1. It's not on Shonen Jump, is it? No. So convenient to have everything on here, because then you can just read it.
ハラルドはそなたに好意的であった。ここに世を治めることもできたはずだ。そなたの心には野心が宿っておる。それが呪いだ。王冠の呪いなのだ。そなたはデンマークとイングランドを倍苦しむことになろう。
ご神女を用意してくれ。クヌート陛下は船旅でお疲れだ。
ストリズ様のおいつけでお飲み物をお持ちしました。
それはどこのものか。
は？どこと申します。
喉は渇いていない。
毒を恐れるは自身が毒を用いるから。
真昼のお出ましとは少々いたずらが過ぎますな。
昼にも夜が見えるならば呪いも極まりつつあるという。
ラクド建設は国家の統一が前提です。ハラルド王の死は必要なのです。
Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the means to resolve conflict through peaceful means. So he's trying to create the absence of conflict and justifying his evil acts by saying it's about the bigger picture, it's for eventual peace or whatever. But that's nope. Becoming friends with the demons in his mind, I guess. That kind of thing.
よし行くぞクヌート。はい。
ハラルド、軍議だ。そなたも来い。
はい、父上。
Is that what you look like?
すまんクヌート。続きはまただ。
ありがとう兄上。
強くなるんだクヌート
He took that too literally.
俺こんなものか
Is this all there is
と
to
いう
it?
ことはない
Is this all there is to it? Does that mean about growing strong? This is nothing. Sitting there alone in a dark room with his crown on his head. Talking to the demons inside of him. Nothing. He's not evil in the mwahahaha sense. But I mean, that act was an evil act, in my opinion. Murdering an innocent person for the greater good. That seems to me... Like, I don't know, we can debate about what it actually means to be evil and blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about... I just mean, it's not... That is a bad action to me. Let's just simplify it. Killing an innocent person for the greater good. That is a dangerous road to go down. That's all I'm gonna say, I guess. For now. We'll see. Excuse me. You could see it. You could argue that it's similar to a slave master. Well, he has slaves, but he treats them well and they can buy their freedom. So by comparison to the rest of the world, he's a kind slave master, but he's still a slave master. So you could argue that, well, it's murder, but at least in the context of this world, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's like, he's a king. If the king of the country is murdering people for the greater good, I just don't know. It's too slippery slope, because now what is the greater good? And your greater good might not be my greater good, but then someone might have the right to kill someone else because of their idea of the greater good. You see how... So like the kind slave master is just because in this world, having a slave isn't against the law. Morally, I believe it's bad. And we can go into it about how in the long run, I think it brings down society, but simply, it's bad, obviously. But in this world's context, there is no law against it. So by the standards of this world, a kind slave master would be one where you could work and live a comfortable life and buy your freedom, like have the opportunity to do that. I think there's people in today's world that work under, horrible conditions and they don't even have the opportunity to buy their freedom. They'll have to work that way for the rest of their life. And technically they're free, but their lives is no better than their lives. Do you understand what I'm saying? So whether our world has really changed, that's up for debate. But we do know that there is still modern slaves, and that is it's just been rebranded as human trafficking and whatnot. So that to me is a separate issue. I was just saying some people might argue that, well, within the context of this world, he's not a murderer. But in this world, murdering innocent people is wrong. But I guess it depends of who you are, because a slave master could kill his slaves, it wouldn't be murder. But he's a king, and his brother was a king. And, so complicated. But it just doesn't bode well. Even in this world, with this world's rules, it doesn't bode well. I'm curious about how much of this is based on, what is the true history here about England and Denmark and the brothers, and I don't know. To me, all of this, I know that it's based on real life stuff, but I'm assuming most things are fiction, because I don't know the history. I can't think, oh, this really happened. That, I don't know. But I'm curious. Kings and swords. Woohoo. I love that all of this is based on history, so you can kind of if I have the time, I can go back and read about these things, and it's just so amazing to think how things worked back then compared to how it works now, and to compare is it really all that different? Some processes have changed, some names have changed, but doesn't it all kind of boil down to the same thing? Okay. 3-year time skip here from last ep, by the way. Here we are in week 10. If you're still crying and complaining, at this point you actually like the show and you're just in denial. So I guess that's regarded or aimed at the people who always complain about, oh, it's so boring, it's so boring. Vinland Saga. I sense that the master won't make it back from gelling to free our boys. The irritating song to me, it's so obvious. You can be free when I come back. Oh, and tell my father this. I'm going now. Yeah. And I was just talking about the father, the working father, his father. Then the second generation. Then we see the third generation. But he has 2 sons and they're completely different. So, but that boy, his son, the one that we saw in the preview as well, he's what I meant, I think, with the worker, the pauper, and the prince. The something pauper and the prince, the pauper generations, father and sons in the prince and the pauper. No. There's 3. Most wealthy families lose all their money in less than 3 generations. Like, I'm not saying any of this is true. Of course, I'm just saying this is stuff that I've heard about wealth and the management. And the vast majority of families who have struck gold, so to speak, lose it all within the span of only a few generations. Odd as it may seem, it's not uncommon. The first generation builds the wealth, the second generation expands the wealth, and the third generation spends the wealth and has to begin again. So even if it doesn't happen 1, 2, 3, it's more or less that kind of the building, the expanding, like it's a foundation, and then the one that can build on. But then somewhere it's like it gets too high, the ones up here, whether it takes 5 generations to get there, but eventually the first generation, historically the process of pauper to prince to pauper. Oh, is it pauper to prince to pauper? No, but it's different. There was a different word for the first one. I remember reading about this. Many cultures around the world have used similar expressions for equally long time. Rice paddies to rice paddies in 3 generations. That's Japan. Scotland, the father buys, the son builds. The grandchild sells and his son begs. That's one that says more like 4 generations. The father buys, the son builds. The grandchild sells and his son begs. In the Netherlands, its use of the phrase cloaks to cloaks takes honorable mention. Nearly every study ever conducted, no matter the other variables considered, has shown similar results. 90% of all wealthy families lose their wealth within 3 generations. 9 out of 10 for several centuries and at least and still going. For more on the protecting family wealth, check out this article. Obviously, there's lots of variables, and I'm sure many people can come up with examples. But this. I'm not saying it's a tried and true. No other things can happen. I have but just read about this kind of phenomenon that is common apparently. And even in the show, you can kind of see it with, like I said, the dad, the old farmer guy that eats the slop, and he doesn't live too luxuriously and then the middle guy, and then what he's created, he's expanded, and then you see the third son, not the crazy one, the other one. He's the one that's gonna mess it all up. But you know what? Daylight savings really had us panicking for the latest episode. We don't have that. If you're happy and you know it, like this comment, I will like it. I don't like comments like that, but now I have to like it because I'm happy. I fear the worst every time someone says they're leaving on a journey in this show. I like how the show portrays different ways PTSD can affect different people and how their mindset change, how it appears. Great episode once again. Am I the only one that's kind of excited we get to meet Bug Eyes for the first time? I don't know if I should read that. Was it in the what's the last part? The preview. I don't know. But yeah, it was a really good episode. Once again, it showed me different sides of different characters. It reminded me of some things I apparently have forgotten. That's a bit of a problem. But you know what? It's fine. The story reminded me, so I know. I would still like to rewatch the first season at some point. I'm just like very curious. 11? Why 11? I don't even remember it. I know the last episode was 10 out of 10, but I don't... 11? Okay. Okay, so story... for this episode, with the recap and the pacing and everything, I would say, and the position, like it's the 10th episode, right? So I would say, where did it begin and end? We had a lot of focus. What really stood out for me is the characters, which is a 9. Story, 8.8. The visuals, 8.8. The character, the audio, I was gonna say the characters, oh, just seeing Thorfinn smile and laugh like that melted my heart. Okay, audio, 8.8. And then enjoyment/investment, 9. So that gives us a total of 8.9, which is basically a 9. It deserves a 9 out of 10. But I like keeping that little bit of, you know, if it's, I don't usually round it up or down, especially not down. Sometimes I'm known to round it up, but not in this case. I think 8.9 is fair. And it's like, with the last episode, it was almost like a finale, and here we're starting like a different arc or something, and I'm really worried. It's going, I don't know, but I have a bad feeling. I just feel like there's been enough suffering. Can we just, but okay, you know what, life is suffering very often, but also this too shall pass, so you know. It's a tough show that deals with a lot of tough issues, but it is so successful in opening or encouraging dialogue, which is very necessary, and also just sparking an interest in history, which, as I said, is very important, because most generations, eventually, it's like they learn about history and they get the dates and they for school and they write the tests, but they don't learn to understand the history and the why did things happen and how did it happen, like an actual interest, you know, not a school, you have to study the dates and remember the peak events, but no, you really want to, if you have an interest in it, you'll get so much more out of it, and I think that is quite necessary. You can't force a kid to care, but right now, like, I didn't care about history when I was younger, but now I have a much bigger interest in it. Not just because of Vinland Saga, but like thanks to shows like Vinland Saga that deals with these kinds of like history repeating itself topics, or sorry, my words are not wording today. But I liked it a lot and I'm looking forward to more. As I said, it feels like the kind of a beginning of a new arc. So this feels like the introduction, just the beginning. We're still gonna again to another episode, which will be again like episode 9, the last one. Phew. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.